Hello and welcome to Minnesota Landlord Law. This is our COVID-19 series that assists property management companies and rental property owners in the state of Minnesota with how the state law and the governor's executive orders impact what we do on a day-to-day basis. This is Module 8, titled How to Re-Lease with COVID-19 Legally Permitted Holdovers. Again, I'm Bradley Schaeppi, and this is MinnesotaLandlordLaw.com. So, a lot of this has to do with the intersection of law and practice, with what do we do with fact-specific questions that may not be answered by a combination of the executive order and the state law that we have and the practical implications of folks not being able to move out and terminate and evict. So taking a brief step back, in terms of the applicable timeline, Governor Walz established what's called a peacetime emergency through executive order, and then a subsequent executive order 20.14 suspended evictions and suspended the ability to terminate leases during the peacetime emergency. Subsequently, this was extended to May 13th, which is still ahead of us. So even if you are viewing this video in the future, some of these concepts may apply as it relates to further extensions or further language. So this module lesson is set up with some basic Q&A. So I have 6 prepared questions. Question 1 really relates to if a lease ends now during the current executive order, April 30th, and then they hold over into May, can I evict? The answer is no. We've covered that in previous series, but that's the one factor driving a lot of these answers is that if there's a holdover, what do you do? Well, you can't evict them. So we're really in new territory. Question number 2, if a tenant's month to month and can you send a notice to vacate now or a vacate date after the expiration of the peacetime emergency? The answer is maybe. It's not 100% clear. I'm an attorney. I can't give you a guarantee, but I believe a read of the language allows that. The language basically states that must cease terminating tenancies during the pendency of the emergency. Here, a future date after the emergency does not terminate the lease now. It terminates it in the future, or it just does not renew the lease. Your lease may be set up to be month to month. It may be at will now. Those are fact-specific questions. You can follow up with me in the future. Question 3, do I have to send a second written notice to vacate if the first notice to vacate was overridden by peacetime emergency or an extension of the peacetime emergency? The short answer is yes. Always make sure if there was a holdover and you do want to terminate the tenancy outside of the existing emergency, please issue another notice to vacate. Question 4, I already have a signed residential lease with a new tenant for a future date, let's say June 1st or May 1st. What do I do if the existing tenant holds over due to the peacetime emergency? The short answer is just communicate. There's no perfect answer. You're going to have to ask if the person who is staying, what their plan is, the person who's planning to move into your unit, because you can't get rid of the existing tenant in place, right? So you'll have to just immediately communicate to the person coming in that I cannot legally give you the space. There's more detail here. Question 5, can I show an occupied unit for rent to new prospective tenants? Yes. I outlined a few answers from doing it virtually to when the tenants are not home, and lastly, asking the existing tenant to go into, for instance, a bedroom. There's a state law cited as well that permits you to continue to do that. Last question, if the tenant holds over during the peacetime emergency and you have not already signed a lease, when should the new lease date start? Well, no perfect answer. The right answer is unsure. If you know for a fact the existing tenant has alternative housing, ask for proof. Ask to see the lease. Ask for mom or dad to send you an email saying, as of May 1st, June 1st, our children, whomever, are going to be in this new space. You really need some type of proof. Otherwise, you could have 2 contracts and be in a difficult situation. If a secondary option would be to add language to your lease before you sign it, basically stating that that you're not liable for the alternative housing due to the peacetime emergency, right? So this isn't a general catch-all from past leases, but this is new language. Consider that language, but again, everything's fact specific. Consult an attorney if you have questions. If you enjoyed this module, Appreciate you visiting. You're welcome to click on the module for fact-specific questions where you can call, schedule time, and I will help you. Obviously, there's the opportunity to pay there. You can go on to our next module. So I do appreciate your time. Again, I'm Bradley Schaeppi with Minnesota Landlord Law. Thank you very much.